What happens when two business powerhouses go from building an empire to waging a $100 million legal battle against one another? Friendship, fortune, betrayal, lawsuits. This just isn't business drama. This is a warning. A warning about how choosing the wrong business partner can cost you everything. Grant Cardone and Gary Brea were supposed to dominate the health and business world together. But now they're in a full-blown legal battle. Accusations of deception, lawsuits flying, and reputations on the line. And if you don't think this applies to you, think again. Because bad partnerships just don't happen to multi-millionaires. They happen to entrepreneurs, small business owners, and everyday people who make the wrong choices. And when that happens, you lose time, you lose money, you lose trust, and you lose a little bit of confidence. So today, we're breaking down this business war so therefore you can avoid the same mistakes. How do you spot red flags before signing the deal? How do you protect yourself from choosing the wrong partner? And more importantly, how do you choose somebody that won't stab you in the back? So before you partner with anyone, watch this. It might just save you from one of the biggest mistakes of your life. So let's get started here, and starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Let's get this money. Euros, dollar bills, getting this on alley. Let's get this money. 1 year and better know I'm on it.
What's cracking, everybody? Money Smart Guy Matt Sapaula here. Welcome back to another episode here on the 7-Figure Squad. And this is one of my favorite topics because I'm seeing the stuff that's going on here between Gary Brea and Grant Cardone. Now, we've done business with Grant Cardone in the past. We invited him to speak at our conference. I brought him up on stage. We, by popular demand in our company, we brought him back for the second time on stage, and that's when we got done wrong by Grant Cardone, and we'll never do business with Grant Cardone ever again. I'm not going to go into details, but we learned from this type of mistake too as well, the type of person you need to stay away from. And by the way, many people have had a lot of success with Grant Cardone. I'm just telling you our perspective and many of the experiences we've had in the past of choosing the right and wrong business partners. Now, I love business partnerships. Here's why. I love using this word called leverage. You can build, you can collab, you can join forces, you can create strategic alliances. I've gotten where I am today because I picked Patrick Bet-David as my business partner, as my mentor to help build PHP Agency into a $300 million exit back in June of 2022. I myself am a stakeholder in the company. I get stock in the company, as well as been a massive organization within inside the company. So essentially, I have a company within inside the company. We have 5,000 agents across the country in 7 major locations across the United States because of the value of business partnerships. And forget what I've made. I've paid out commissions to the people we've coached and mentored in the insurance industry on our platform because of partnerships, over $115 million of commissions over the last 10 years. So there's a massive amount of benefit from partnering with the right people upon the right platform. And thank God, Patrick Bet-David, my coaches and mentors I've chosen in my life, came in my life when they did. But with that being said, I've also got my own percentage of bad partnerships and bad relationships and lawsuits that I've had to contend to deal with in the past of people that stabbed me in the back. Now let's get into Gary Brea and Grant Cardone. Obviously, a lot more people know about Grant Cardone than they know about Gary Brea. Let me break down who Gary Brea is. Gary Brea is not a medical doctor. However, he is a human biologist and former mortality expert with expertise in biometrics, longevity science, and nutrition. His background is in predictive health analysis, meaning he used medical data, genetics, and biomarkers to assess a person's risk of disease and life expectancy. Now, before his fallout with Grant Cardone, Brecka was a co-founder of 10X Health, a wellness company specializing in personalized health optimization. The company provided genetic testing, IV therapies, and hormone treatments for elite clients, including UFC president Dana White, who credits Brecka for transforming his health. Now, he worked with life insurance companies. That was a pretty interesting thing to me. But he worked with life insurance companies with the information that insurance companies, life insurance specifically, life insurance companies are able to obtain through medical records, blood work, and other lab work to determine the life expectancy of somebody's life based on their application. Now, I'm intrigued by this because I've been in the insurance business for 26 years. So basically, he was able to dial down the year potentially when somebody's about to die. Now, Gary has been on some podcasts, several dozen podcasts, to expose what's going on with this $100 million lawsuit with Patrick Bet-David. I was at Valley Tim last week to see that going down. JT Fox podcast, good friend of mine from Chicago, and Aaron Smith-Levin Scientology podcast. In the words of PBD's book, choose your enemies wisely. So here are 5 key considerations for you to learn from this drama, this legal war happening right now between Cardone and Brecka, so therefore you can avoid it too as well. Number 1, align values and vision. Your values and vision has got to be more than just money. You got to ensure that you and your potential business partner or your strategic alliance, whoever you sign a term sheet with or a partnership with, that you're doing business together with, that your core values, morals, and values and principles are aligned. I would even go on to say that even maybe your political values are aligned. So therefore, there's no internal conflict with one another. There's no awkwardness going on with another. So therefore, you have complementary skill sets, you have complementary reputations that help build a massive partnership or strategic alliance together. For example, the file between Cardone and Brecka involved allegations of divergent business practices and priorities. Brecka accused Cardone Ventures of prioritizing profits over patient care, including a fundamental misalignment in their business values. Now, I could easily see Cardone prioritizing money over everything. I mean, after all, he's got this t-shirt called "Who's Got My Money?" He's all about who's got his money. His priority, in my opinion, I could be wrong about this, but many of you done business with our Cardone Capital. Many of you have probably done business with the sales training, which, by the way, I will say this. His books, phenomenal. 10X, Be Obsessed or Be Average, phenomenal. His ability to train people how to sell, phenomenal. How he actually goes about business, in my opinion, is questionable. Now, Brecka doesn't have his fair share of background and personal drama too as well as his business background in terms of former lawsuits as well. He's got drama. However, if you've got shared vision and shared values and you're able to come together, you should be able to see the world from the same lens and attack the world and your progress together. That'd be the ideal way to do it. But if your priority, instead of being the customer or the client, that's why I respect Bezos, because his number one obsession is about client customer experience. He just wants to make sure you are using that app or that platform, so therefore you have the best experience of buying anything. By the way, Amazon used to sell just books. Now they're selling everything because he's focused on the right priority, which is client and customer experience. He even told his initial investors, we may not be experiencing a profit for a minute because I'm reinvesting everything back into the company. We're not going to see profit. We're not going to see profit. We're not going to see profit. He was able to align his investors, his early investors, according to his vision and his mission and the way he saw it about building Amazon to the way he was going to go about doing business without taking an additional money from somebody who's forcing him to do things a certain way. In other words, if, in my opinion, I could be wrong about this, but if Bezos was taking money from an investor who wanted to meet a profit, knowing what I know about Bezos, he probably would have forgone that investment instead of looking for the right investor. So partnerships aren't necessarily just two people running a business together. It could potentially be investors. I've seen Patrick Bet-David turn down a $6 million speaking deal to go to China because it didn't align with his values and principles. And internally, his bookers, the guys that valued him, are upset because they could have made a little bit of commission on booking him for that speaking deal. But Patrick said, you know what? By the way, I've seen him turn down sponsorship deals, let alone speaking deals, but sponsorship deals. Now, it doesn't align with our values and core mission, which leads me to number 2, define roles and responsibilities. Now, establishing clear roles and responsibilities helps prevent overlaps and misunderstandings. A lack of clarity can lead to disputes over duties and expectations. One of the things that I don't think Gary Brea expected was that he dealt less with Grant Cardone and more with a guy named Brandon Dawson within inside the lawsuits. You know, I see Brecka even saying on the PBD podcast, listen, my beef really isn't with Grant Cardone. My beef with this guy named Brandon Dawson. Now, I don't know that relationship. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't care to know. All I know is he was not aware of the roles and responsibilities of this guy, Brandon Dawson. And therefore, he was T-boned at this intersection and traveling down this business journey. So the lawsuits between Cardone Ventures and Brecka included allegations of breaches of contractual agreements and fiduciary duties, suggesting that roles and expectations may not have been clearly defined or even respected. Personal example, my partnership and marriage with my wife. Before we got married, I said, sweetheart, we're going to a point right now where it might be the point of no return because you're the type of person that I see is someone I want to marry. However, at the risk of losing you at this very moment, I need to disclose to you all the personal drama I'm going through my past relationships, through my business. You need to know the drama I'm going through because if you get married to me, these are the type of certain scenarios that I'm facing. So we're at an Italian restaurant. I cleared the Italian restaurant. You know, there's a restaurant with paper on it as a table covering. And I wrote down all my drama, or I wrote down all my issues. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. What do you think? This is what I'm going through. And she's like, oh, is that it? Yeah, it's my wife, Sheena. Oh, is that it? Boom. We manage expectations up front. So some of you guys are thinking business partnership. I was thinking personal relationship, my marriage. And guess what? That marriage turned into a business partnership. My wife and I together run a business together, building an insurance agency. and it's gone into a beautiful way. We've been married now for 10 years. We've been together for 13. And not to say that we haven't had our speed bumps along the road and World War III, 4, and 5 along the way, but she can't get back to me and say, listen, I don't like the stuff you put me through, but this, and that, the kids and your bastard, da, da, da. She can't say none of that. Why? Because I manage expectations up front. So, babe, you might be dealing with some blowback from this, but I'm going to deal with the bulk of it. You deal with it in terms of handling the kids. You'll deal with it because it's putting the kids through an emotional type of situation, but I will deal with this. I helped manage expectations upfront because now it's no longer my fault. It's up to her to say, you know what? I'm going to turn my back on this, but that's now her word. It's her word, which never obviously came true. Number 3, conduct due diligence. You've got to investigate your potential partner's background, including their business history, reputations, and any past legal issues. This helps in understanding their reliability and integrity. Like throughout this whole process, I'm wondering why Gary Brecka, as smart as he is, intelligent as he is, and things that he was doing, I'm wondering why he sold his company and was willing to take a $250,000 check, of which, according to him, he had to put right away into Cardone Capital, so therefore they can invest it into real estate. Like, I don't know why he took that deal. So there has possibly been some area of financial desperation on Gary Brecka's side. Now, again, I'm being objective. Obviously, you know how I feel about Cardone. I'm not a fan of the guy. But at the same time, too, Gary Brecka making some bad, poor decisions here. And these are things that you do when you're financially desperate. Now, I don't know if that's the truth, but why would you sell your company? Why would you sell your ingenuity? Why would you sell your brand for $250,000, which may have been, I don't know, maybe a lot of money to him at that time. Now he looks back and says, you know, I don't like how this turned out. But now you can't do it because you signed business agreements. Cardone's lawsuit highlighted Brecka's previous business challenges, including personal bankruptcy and tax liens, which could have been red flags if thoroughly examined beforehand. Like if I knew my business partner was coming in with this type of financial drama, I'd be asking him some tough questions up front. I'll give you an example. In the year we're building our PHP agency and getting it prepared for sale, Patrick promoted me to Chief Distribution Officer. Now, mind you, I've already been working with PBD from the field force, building a sales team. And so people in PHP agency building a sales team, you're an independent contractor. You're not an employee of PHP agency. So make a long story short, for the last 7-8 years at this time, right before to and through the pandemic, Patrick eventually said, Sapaula, I'm preparing the company for sale. Since you have whatever your resume is, that we like to see you as a chief distribution officer at PHP agency, promoted me to that. But before he did, what did he do? I had to sign a background check. I didn't have to sign a background check as an independent contractor building a sales team, but I did have to sign a background check because now I'm going to become a chief distribution officer of PHP agency. So even PBD had to do due diligence on his top guy, even though his top guy was crushing it in the field building a sales team. But now you're coming into corporate and you're coming into now having a chief type of role. Patrick Bet-David, before he built this partnership with me, I had to go through a background check. So even though I had worked with PBD at that time for 8 going on 9 years, I still had to go through a due diligence check. Number 4, ensure complementary skills and experience. A successful partnership often involves partners with complementary skills and experiences, allowing each to contribute uniquely to the business's success. You know, for example, Gary Brecka obviously brought in massive health and wellness expertise. And Cardone, again, regardless if you validate him or not, he brought in some business moxie. He brought in a marketing engine. He brought in the capacity for him to explode his 10X Health brand, with Gary Brecka leading the way under the 10X company. So from the outside, man, looked like a power partnership about to unfold. However, their differing approaches and priorities eventually led to conflicts, underscoring the need for aligned strategies alongside complementary skills. You know, I can see, 2 alphas going in there. I can see ego being the enemy. Just remember this. Everything you want in life is on the other side of pride and ego. I'm going to run it my way. I'm going to run it my way. Hey, how can we run this together? That should be the more priority of a question. How can we run this together? Because if you don't want to run it together with a partner, then shoot, just then run it by yourself. Why need a partner then? So if you don't want to humble yourself coming to the table with a partner, then you ought to just be in business by yourself. Number 5, establish open lines of constant communication. Effective communication is vital for addressing issues promptly and maintaining trust. Without it, misunderstandings can escalate into significant disputes. By the way, book recommendation for you guys to obtain, Crucial Conversations. Great book. Our guys read that book, and ever since we've been able to have crucial conversations with our partners, with our vendors, with people that we do business with, bam, we are now able to harmoniously work and build a business together. For example, backstage one of our company events in Las Vegas, a life insurance company CEO, we were having a crucial conversation with because certain things were happening and we didn't like it and we're giving them a ton of business. Anyway, because they had crucial conversations, the CEO of that insurance company was able to step to us and say, listen, here's what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. I was able to say, here's my expectations. Here's what we're doing about it. And every week, the president of our insurance agency, they're working on every Friday coming up with updates to improve that area, that leak inside this partnership that wasn't working well together. And guess what? Now we're back to performing together again and taking over the world. So part of having crucial conversations up front and throughout the conversation, throughout the relationship is so important and vital to having a power partnership. So the downside of what Brecka and Cardone are going through, instead of internally having those conversations, guess what? Now everybody, you and I, are now part of it. Now that Brecka's on his podcast tour and Cardone's got to fire back to as well and continue to have some defamatory remarks towards one another, it's a mess. The public nature of the disputes and the allegations of smear campaigns between Cardone and Brecka indicate a breakdown in direct communication, leading to legal battles and reputational harm. Listen, in my opinion, whoever wins here, they're both losers. It's going to take them years. I don't know if Cardone really cares, but it's going to take Brecka years for him to overcome this smear that he's going over because it's being archived and put right now on the internet. Every time some future business partner is going to come to Brecka with this, and that, they're going to go back to these archive videos and see how Brecka conducted themselves in moments of conflict. And an investor is going to remember that. So in summary, business partners can do one of two things. They can greatly elevate you or sadly greatly destroy you. The feud between Cardone and Brecka is a prime example of what happens when visions, values, and expectations aren't fully aligned. And I hope by learning from their fallout, you can protect your time, your money, and your reputation by choosing the right business partners from the beginning. Align your values, define your roles, do your due diligence, complement skills, and communicate openly. Now, these principles can save you from the same fate. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you been in a business partnership that's gone wrong? Put in the comment section below, gone wrong. That being said, what lessons did you learn? Please consider dropping a comment so we can all talk about the value and the principle that you learned. Now, if you got value from this, please consider hitting like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 7 Figure Squad, and share it with people that you know can learn from this ordeal. That being said, from Dallas, Texas, I'm your money smart guy. And until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.